Welcome back to another episode of Calibrated with Scott. I am, of course, your host, Scott. Today we have another interview. One of my longtime friends in the Ukraine information space, the one, the only AMK. AMK, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. It has been a long day, but surprisingly, we get to do this recording at a very, very pleasant time for me. Usually, when I work with people on the other side of the planet, I'm up at 3 a.m. or something like that. So I'm in a good mood right now. I'm looking forward to a great conversation. How have you been?
I've been pretty good. I've been relatively busy, but I've got some time off now, so that's
Nice.
good.
Yeah, nice. For those of you who don't know, AMK does a fantastic battle map of Ukraine. He also does maps of other conflicts around the world. Be sure to go to the description of this YouTube video to find the links to his Twitter, his Telegram, and that will lead you to all of his other works. So be sure to go check that out. Try to get that in at the beginning of the episode for you, AMK. All right. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. AMK. I want to know what your perspective on the current situation in Ukraine is. Just a general overview. You can talk as short or as long as you want on that subject. It has been quite some time since you have been in here and we have had a conversation about Ukraine. A lot has developed since then, and I just want to hear some of your perspectives. Go ahead.
Yeah, like you said, it's been a while. The first time I came in here, it was about June of last year in 2024. And while it was progressing very much in favor of Russia at that time, is my mic all right?
No, yeah, your mic's fine. No,
Oh,
I
okay.
can't believe that the last time you were on here was in June of
Yeah, it
2024.
was it's been a long time. It's
It's
been
been
almost a year
over
and
a
a half.
year?
Yeah, over a year, almost a
Oh,
year and a
that's
half
my
now.
bad. That's
Yeah.
my bad.
So yeah, it's been a long time, but at that point it was very obviously progressing in favor of Russia. Um but now we're kind of entering a new kind of phase of this war. Well, we kind of entered it a few months ago, where the level of attrition on the Ukrainian armed forces and Ukraine as a whole is reaching levels where they cannot hold everything at once. Like we saw that before, right? Where Ukraine was trying to hold, for example, Vovchansk, right? They had to pull forces from the Donbass
Yeah.
to hold Vovchansk, and then the breakthrough at Otraditsune happened shortly in that kind of same time period, which obviously led towards the Battle of Pokrovsk. But now we've kind of reached a level where not only does Ukraine have to redeploy, but multiple areas at once are now kind of, I'm not going to say collapsing, but they are falling apart in some areas, like
You can
Liman, for example.
hey, listen, if you want to use the word collapse, I don't have a problem with
Well,
that.
it's a collapse in the sense that we're in those stages, right?
Yeah.
But it's but right now, as of now, the it's still much more still localized. It's I don't know how to explain it. We're at a point of attrition where Ukraine cannot hold everything at once, and multiple parts are kind of buckling. But it's not at that kind of strategic level gains on for the Russians yet. They don't have the ability to do maneuver warfare like we saw in Seversk yesterday, where
Yeah.
they tried to do a mechanized attack. So but we're definitely getting to that point, and it's why we're seeing those battles for multiple cities open up at once: Kostiantynivka, Pokrovsk, Liman, Kupiansk, Huliapol soon.
Yeah.
They're all happening simultaneously because Ukraine's been degraded so much. Their manpower shortages have reached new levels, and they're relying so much on drones now. The Russians now have the ability to push in to do quite large concerted pushes in multiple areas at once. Whereas, in 2023, they were having to grind through Bakhmut and they couldn't focus anywhere else significantly, or Avdiivka
Yeah.
or Kupiansk. Um, so it's definitely changed a lot. And then with long range strikes, Russia's relying more and more on less expensive but arguably more effective missiles like Iskander M's, Iskander K's more recently, and the KH-101s, they are not used nearly as much as they used to be.
Yeah.
So, but yet still, thanks to ground drones, the strikes on Ukrainian rear targets, especially energy infrastructure, is ramping up more and more, which I think goes to show the kind of the Russia adapting to those changes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with you there. I think that when it comes to the energy infrastructure strikes, something that people don't always take away from previous years is that the Russian military, as you said, is adapting. They are evolving. They are becoming more, uh, you know, uh, I don't know, outreaching with in every single direction, no matter what kind of technological advance you're talking about. Just comparing even accuracy of Iskander M from the beginning of the war till now, it has become a much more accurate weapon, a much more efficient weapon. Not only that, but the production of said missiles is through the roof, right? We've reached a wartime production rate, which allows the Russians to use these weapons at their discretion. And to your point about the Garin drones, this is something that has never really existed in the 2022 campaign, the 2023 campaign. The 2024 campaign was very, very soft. And now in 2025, the Russians previously, if they wanted to take out like a 330 kilowatt or kilovolt substation, they would have to use a multi-million-dollar KH-101 cruise missile like you were referring to. Whereas now they can hit that substation 10 times with drones that cost 1/8 the price of a single missile. So yeah, the Russian army has very much evolved, like you said. And additionally, I think that this can be seen across the front line, where even just the Russian military itself is obviously operating at a much higher efficiency and pace now across the front line. Where you were talking about all of these fires that Ukraine has to put out. Currently, they are losing Pokrovsk. The Russians have now re-entered Liman. Kupiansk is obviously like in a 50-50 situation. And the Russians have also been geolocated inside of Konstantinivka. Even just on the ground, even the Russian military, their ground forces have also evolved and are also taking advantage of the years of attrition that we've been talking about and harping on. I've been seeing you get a lot of hate online in the pro-Ukrainian information space. I'm very curious to know what your current feeling towards that group of people is, that information space. I know it's difficult for someone like you who is, more in the pro-Ukrainian camp, but also somebody who is very much interested in the truth. And the truth is not something that people like to hear very often. I often say that I will never be popular or, huge, because I don't toe a narrative. I don't push a specific viewpoint that people like and that confirms bias and stuff like that. I will tell you the truth, and I will disappoint you, and I will upset you. And AMK, the reason why I like you so much is because from the very beginning, you've been somebody who is willing to do this. So I'm just curious as to your sort of attitude towards the information space now.
Well, for the kind of the pro-Ukraine space, I kind of like to split it into two kind of groups. You got the people who I'd feel more sorry for, who genuinely don't understand what's happening. They don't know a lot about how things work in Ukraine.
They're often the loudest, though.
What, the people? Yeah, I guess so. But the loudest ones I've seen these days have been the larger accounts that purposefully cater to their audience and maybe even don't believe in some of the things they're actually saying.
Hey, if you want to just throw out some names real fast, just put them on blast.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's pretty obvious when you see them on Twitter, and especially YouTube. YouTube's the hellhole of it. But
it's all about those thumbnails, baby.
Oh my God, yeah, they're insane. It's a full production. It's a full production thing. It's insane. But overall, for like that kind of I like to say quote unquote pro-Ukrainians because they're more anti-Russia than anything. They're not
Yeah.
really. I mean, theoretically, if they got to choose between Russia being absolutely decimated and Ukraine losing the four oblasts, they would probably choose Russia being absolutely decimated because they well, so many people, first of all, have been indoctrinated since they're really young. Cold War era people have been indoctrinated to hate Russia just because it's
Boomers
Russia.
is who we're referring to.
Boomers, especially
Yeah.
boomers,
Yes.
they've been indoctrinated to hate Russia, and then that's passed down. And
Hmm.
the boomers are still alive, so they still hate Russia. And obviously that's what a lot of politicians are, most politicians. Um, and then there's just people who like to emotionally attach themselves to an entity, that being
Yes.
Ukraine in this case, and they can't possibly fathom Ukraine doing something bad or losing a battle, not because of logic or reasoning, but just because it's Ukraine, just because it is Ukraine, and
Yeah.
that's the one they've subconsciously attached themselves to.
Yeah. It's an
Whereas
emotional investment.
exactly,
Yeah.
whereas with Russia, it's that evil Eastern dark orc nation Mordor who's going and invading another country
Yep.
and going and pillaging people's homes and whatever, right? And you can argue all you want about whether it was justified or not for them to invade, but in the end, it, it's doing more harm than good to portray Russia in that light,
Yeah.
especially for Ukraine.
Hmm.
Underestimating your enemy, especially in a war of attrition like this, when your enemy has the upper hand in practically every single aspect, maybe except video editing, is it's a terrible idea. You should not be doing that, and it's really making it difficult for any kind of level-headed and objective people looking at things objectively, to do what they do in the online spaces, because immediately they get cannibalized by all these screaming people with dogs in their profile pictures coming and tearing them apart with no logic at all.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of Twitter in general, but it's really anywhere these days.
Yeah, but the pro-Ukrainian information space is definitely a unique sort of microcosm. It's also it's kind of similar to like the pro-Zionist information space as well, where you cannot go against the narrative. If you go
Hmm.
against the narrative, you are something, right? You're either an anti-Semite or you're a Kremlin, shill or something like that.
Yeah,
It is the same sort of like ideological mindset where if you go off script, you're doing damage, and that's like such a dangerous position to like pigeonhole yourself into. Where I mean, you're seeing it with Deep State Map right now, right?
oh yeah,
Where
absolutely.
Deep State has these wild gray zones and they're just completely ignoring geolocations and even ignoring like other Ukrainian mappers and people who are on the ground saying that this doesn't match with reality and whatnot. And you're right, it is just the propaganda aspect of fighting this war. And really the only reason I asked that question is because specifically as of late, I feel like it has taken a nosedive as things have gotten critically worse for Ukraine through August. We had the breakthrough in early August near Dobopila, if for those of you who remember, north of Pokrovsk, and the Ukrainian stabilization and counterattacks in that region were a well of hopium for the pro-Ukrainian information space. But since then, the Russians have mostly stabilized that area. Pokrovsk is falling, like we said. The Russians have entered Liman. The Russians are currently in Kupiansk and these other cities. So what do you think it's just because there's just nothing else tangible to hold on to? I mean, even I would say even like refinery strikes have slowed down in recent weeks. Is that sort of the feeling you get from the information space? It kind of feels like grasping at straws at this point.
Well, yeah, the threshold for what would be considered a decent victory for Ukraine has shrunk so much.
Mm-hmm.
And also, a lot of people are manipulating the truth to make it seem more good for Ukraine, or just outright lying, like David's 8 or 9 encirclements or whatever number he's up to now.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, it's the general morale is not great anymore in the Ukrainian space. Better than I'd say in the Ukrainian armed forces, obviously, but online, the people who are still kind of posting actively about the war from the Ukraine side, for the most part, they are just just manipulating what is happening or outright lying, like with Dobropilya. When they're all saying Russians encircled in Kuchedov Yar, even though there is so much visual evidence and secondary evidence that proves that they were never encircled in the first place. And I think a lot of it's to do with just how misinformation spreads. Deep State's the one who published the encirclement claim first, I believe. Or maybe it was Azov, I can't remember. Either way, Deep State was the main kind of main resource which published that. And then that spread to other mappers making their own maps based entirely off of Deep State. And then other people said, like, oh my god, look at all these sources reporting on this encirclement, when in reality it all emerged from one source. And I see that from the Russian side too.
Yeah, it happens quite frequently where you'll have like one little tidbit of information thrown out by like a semi-reliable source, and then it's just wildfire.
Or even the Russian Ministry of Defense, when they claimed to capture Bilohorivka like 4 times or whatever, each time there were 20 different maps from 20 different mappers all reporting it, and then all of a sudden that meant that all the different sources were reporting it. It's one of the ways misinformation spreads, but I definitely see a lot.
I think I even made that mistake when it was
Serbianka.
Yeah, Serbianka and Horivka.
And Horivka, yeah.
I fell into that trap on that one as well.
Yeah, well, it was Siversk, it was shortly after Bilohorivka had fell, I think.
Yeah.
And that whole area, was starting to move, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah. What was I saying?
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're all good. But yes, since then, it's overall, it's just kind of spiraling, and a lot of the original OSINTers, or original, I guess you could say, realistic people from the Ukraine side are either very inactive or completely inactive.
Yeah.
They don't post much anymore, or they don't engage much in that community anymore. Partly because if they say anything, they'll get immediately cannibalized by hundreds of NAFO accounts.
So unfortunate.
I know. It's ruined the possibility of objective reporting and I guess realistic analysis, because I mean, overall, looking at things from both sides and objectively reporting on things, it's not very popular online anyway.
Yeah.
But with this, it's just made it so much more difficult to do that. And it's why I've kind of mainly moved to Telegram for general kind of engaging with different people who are interested in the war, because places like Twitter, it's designed to make you annoyed and angry to keep you engaged. That's how the algorithms work. It's like a self-rage baiting method, and because when the more people are angry, the more they're more likely to comment on posts, meaning the more traction that post gets, and the more followers that account gets, and then naturally more money the account gets. Yep. So it's why it's such a horrible social media platform, even more so than other places, and also has a horrible reputation anyway. And what was I saying?
That one space is just difficult.
Yeah, whereas with Telegram, for example, you don't have that one combined feed. You have to go and actually manually go search for things from different channels. Yeah. And meaning you're more
you pick what information you want to hear, and even the engagement within Telegram is so much less in your face. Like, you can just ignore your comments entirely. I guess you can do that on Twitter as well, but you have a notifications thing that's like, hey, you got mentioned, hey, this, that, or the other. So, which, by the way, mine moves so fast.
Same here.
I refresh it, 20 new notifications every time.
I've had the same thing lately. It's often when I make a post that gets a lot of people annoyed, or it gets a lot of traction.
Yeah, every time I see you post, I get a little excited. I go to the comment section. I love watching people fight in your comments, and they're both wrong.
I know, it's like, how can two people both who are hate each other so much both be so wrong at the same time?
Or people that agree with each other. I have pro-Russian guys in my comments that agree with me, arguing with each other, and they're both wrong. I'm like, what are you? I want to step in sometimes and be like, guys, this is just not true. But then I'm also like, I don't have the energy to waste explaining to all of these people.
Yeah. But yeah, like I was saying about Telegram, it's you have to pick and choose and do things manually to build your I guess cache of sources. And when you come across more objective neutral channels, the people who are going to be commenting on them are generally going to be people who are more neutral, I guess, and also people who have purposefully created their, I guess you could say, feed in a way that allows them to actually look at things realistically instead of swinging one way or the other so far, like we see on Twitter, where it's it's bias affirming basically over there.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why I like Telegram more. It's generally better, and it's more it's better for more niche topics too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's way better. It's way better for gathering information for sure.
Like, 100%.
There's no other place like Telegram for open source information, in my personal opinion.
100%. Yeah. And there's so many places, so many channels that wouldn't exist without it. Non-Western channels.
Yeah.
Because most of the people on Telegram are from Russia, India, and the Middle East.
Yeah.
And America. But when the US makes up less than a quarter of their total users or whatever it is, you get a lot more information you would otherwise never hear.
Yes.
Unless you had to really go searching for like random websites or whatever.
Yeah. I'm worried that those sorts of pages, those sorts of websites and stuff like that, apps, whatever, are going to be restricted here soon. I'm really worried that Telegram is going to be like banned.
It's going to be. I'm telling you. I mean, look at the Online Safety Act in the UK. Hey, at least in New Zealand, you can know over here we've got zero restrictions on anything.
Yeah,
in the EU.
I'm worried. I mean, I already can't look at RT because it violates.
Because it's in EU. It's the same there. You can't look at it.
Stupid.
Same with any of the Palestinian channels over there.
How shitty does your position have to be and your news have to be that you have to ban a state television network from another country? We are in America. We are in America, or we're in the West. We literally have it in the American Constitution, the freedom of speech and press, and we're banning the most like propaganda. Like, it's so clear. It's like looking at North Korean state television and being like, these guys know what they're talking about. It's like it's literally a dumpster fire of nonsense that is in support of the Russian state. I mean, there's some good stories. I'm not saying it's all trash, but it's definitely contoured and shaped and molded into what it should be for the Russian state. So you ignore it. Like, I'm not upset that RT is.
But like, look at any of the British like tabloids, for example.
Exactly.
Or anything. They're just as bad, if not worse.
But those aren't banned. Every story in those tabloids is fake. It's like all fake.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the Western mindset has been shaped to make you think of, for example, the political spectrum, where it's only a window of its true scope. Like in the US, it's kind of only a section for the most part.
Yeah.
Same with what would be considered a justifiable opinion to have in the West. It's changed more recently with the rise of alternative media. Like, 20 years ago, very few people were criticizing Israel, but in the last 2 years, everyone's been criticizing Israel. I think we're going to see a similar thing with American influence and like in Europe as well in the next decade. But that window is still very kind of small compared to how it is worldwide. It's a very sheltered viewpoint. I guess how to describe it.
It's like tunnel vision.
The scope of viewpoints. Yeah, tunnel vision, exactly. And people forget that there are a lot of very diverse places in the world with very diverse views, that would shock a lot of people if they ever heard of them.
We got to bomb those places. As an
They think
American,
differently than us. We must bomb them.
no, there's just no excuse for them to be the way that they are. Honestly,
I know.
different than me.
We're the normal ones.
Different than me, an American. How dare you? Speaking of bombing places, I know that you cover what's going on in the Middle East. I'm curious, how do you see the ceasefire in Gaza working out, and just the overall region? Because to me, I don't know how anybody makes a deal with Israel. I mean, you see Hezbollah has made a deal with Israel, and I think that ceasefire is something like a year old, and they violate it almost every day.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious as to how you see, or how the ceasefire is literally going, and how you see it going forward in the future.
Right. Well, starting with Hezbollah, I guess. Well, Hezbollah has for the most part, withdrawn north of the Litani River in southern Lebanon, meaning there's a whole large section of Lebanon, southern Lebanon, which doesn't pose any meaningful threat to Israel like it did before. There's no rocket launches from Lebanon anymore. There hasn't been a single one, I believe, since the ceasefire.
Yeah.
But yeah, Israel still goes and bombs them and drops grenades on them from drones and shells them pretty much. Well, it's every day, but it's several times a day now.
Yeah.
And the only reason they don't send any extra ground troops in, they still hold a few positions across the border, but the only reason they don't send any more ground troops in is because the Israeli army is really small compared to a lot of other nations. They've already suffered a lot of casualties in Gaza, killed and wounded. It's in the thousands, and they have to monitor their whole border from the West Bank. They have to have, I think it's 5 different brigades in the West Bank. They have to monitor the Egyptian border, Jordanian border. They're now in Syria too. And of course Gaza, which is the big always been the big headache for them because of its urban hellscape, which is why they live with it. But with Gaza, they have the capacity to go in and occupy it if they do many more operations to demolish the remaining cities there, primarily in the center of the Gaza Strip. And they're going to, I think, but the idea with a ceasefire, in my opinion, was the US and Israel propose a ceasefire to Hamas that they think Hamas is not going to accept. They propose it where it's reasonable. You could argue that it's reasonable, but it has a few hot flaws in it and holes in it, which would make Hamas not agree with it, right?
It's not just Israel, though. This is a Western
exactly
motif of negotiating.
100%. Yeah. And that plan was designed to make it just slightly outside of Hamas's what they would accept. Because it had some issues with it. A lot of people don't realize that Hamas is one of many different factions in the Gaza Strip. There's a lot of other ones. There's the Islamic Jihad. There's the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine. There's the communist groups. There's all sorts of groups in there that all fight alongside Hamas because of Israel being their common enemy. And it didn't provide any explicit mentioning, at least from the one I saw, of protections for groups other than Hamas. It didn't give any guarantees for who would be a part of that transitional government. They said Palestinian, qualified Palestinians, quote unquote, and I think it was other Westerners. But they didn't provide many details or guarantees for what that could entail, and if they, what the future for that might result in if Gaza will just become an Israel proxy, But I think overall the goal for the ceasefire, like I said, provide a plan which is slightly out of Hamas's what they would accept, and then when Hamas accepted it, they were really surprised, really shocked, and now they're having to rely on the tiniest breaches of the ceasefire to bomb the hell out of them. And I think there's going to be one small breach, whether it's a false flag or a isolated Hamas attack like we've seen so far, and it's all gonna come falling down. And Israel's going to say, Hamas, Hamas has breached the ceasefire too many times, or Israel might like hide the body of one of the hostages coming back and say that they didn't give it to them, or something like that.
Yeah,
I think
whatever.
they have so many opportunities and they have so much legitimacy, at least on the government level, and they can kind of say a lot of different things which would be believed by governments, not necessarily by the people, but at least for now by governments.
Yeah.
Or even if it isn't believed, they can say that they believe it, right?
Yeah, they'll go along with it.
Exactly. And they will go back in and they'll go clear Gaza City. Hamas is so degraded by now they can't put up any meaningful fighting. I mean, at the beginning of the war, we saw them launch 6,000 rockets in the first few days.
Yeah.
Now they launch a couple of rockets which aren't even guided at all. They fall hundreds of meters away from their target every couple of days or so.
Yeah.
They don't have proper fighting formations for the most part anymore. They have isolated cells which go and carry out tiny guerrilla attacks, which, before in the beginning they were still kind of doing that, but it was much more coordinated and sophisticated. The special forces unit, the Nukba unit, I'd say probably 90% combat incapable by now. They can only carry out targeted attacks like the ones we saw this year in Han Yunis and Netzarim, and most of those attacks aren't that successful anyway because they just don't have that proper coordination or operational awareness or the supplies or the trained fighters anymore. So I think Israel will go back in there. They'll go and flatten the rest of the Gaza Strip, the remaining areas in the center of the strip, which they haven't already destroyed, the remaining parts of Gaza City. And then they'll go in and occupy it. They'll probably build some more corridors and monitor it 24/7. Cleanse it of Palestinians, and they'll go from there. I think it'll be something like that. I don't really see how else it can play out unless they were forced into some sort of deal, temporary, as in like a couple of years or so, deal where they just can't carry on from international pressure. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem that likely to me.
It does.
Yeah.
It does feel, though, at least in the United States, that if Israel goes ahead with that, it will be the death sentence for the U.S.-Israeli relationship, unless something globally just shifts and nobody has the U.S. population just has no say in anything at all, and the U.S. government can just do whatever they want. Because already, I mean, what was it? It was something like before the war, before October 7th, it was something like 48% of Americans had a positive, or no, I'm sorry, not 40%. It was like in a poll, pro-Israelis were like 48 points above the Americans that were pro-Palestine, basically.
Well, it wasn't popular back then to hate Israel,
Oh no, it wasn't, and that's what I'm saying. And now, I mean, the difference is also that Israel has never done anything like this in an age where everybody has a cell phone and everybody can take pictures and everybody can post it. And also there's a huge difference in the US demographic, like population. We are no longer completely subordinate to whatever news comes on at 6 o'clock, right? We can get information on Telegram, on Twitter, on it used to be TikTok, right? All these places are posting the destruction of Gaza. And so for Americans, at least people my age, younger, a little bit older too, millennials, they aren't putting up with this. They don't put up with the government's bullshit when it comes to lies as far as they can see them. Obviously, people have to wake up to see some of the lies sometimes. But it's very clear that Israel and the United States have a completely strange relationship that just doesn't really make any sense outside of something fishy, right? They don't have to register as foreign agents. We give them money that they do not have to register, basically, with like when we give foreign aid to other countries, they have to spend that aid on military or U.S. military weapons, spend it in the U.S. military industrial complex or something else where the money goes back to the United States.
Israel is the greatest ally.
And Israel is the only country in the world that doesn't have to monitor where their money goes. They can spend it however they want. And what the Israelis end up doing is buying US bonds and then making interest off of those bonds with US taxpayer money. So it's just like the US, like the American population can clearly see how weird this relationship is. And with the genocide or ethnic cleansing, I think it's a genocide in Gaza. Yeah, it's both. I think it's a genocide, but some people are being weird about it. Which I don't get. It is collective punishment. That's a genocide. It just first and foremost, not allowing aid like food into civilians, genocide. That's like plain and simple. So I think that the U.S. generation, my generation, a little bit younger, a little bit older, we don't get the white picket fence. We don't get the $120,000 job. I mean, adjusted for inflation, right out of college or high school. We don't get the family of three, the nuclear idea of a family, right? That's not really what our generation is looking at. We're looking at renting forever, being in credit card debt because we can't afford groceries or rent, right? And the job market is garbage. The globalization, like all of our prices are going up and we're not making more money and the US dollar is getting weaker. And so my generation, we're not getting the benefits out of what like the previous generations got. They were willing to ignore foreign wars and the empire, Vietnam, Korea, all of those other conflicts that should have really upset Americans. I mean, Vietnam, there were people that were upset, obviously, but for the most part, people were just comfortable. And you can just sit back and say, well, Israel's doing some bad things, but it's not my problem, not my neck of the woods. I'm doing good. I'm going to focus on me. Now everybody's like, well, my life is shit. Why are you giving $40 billion to Argentina to bail them out? Why are you giving $30 billion to Israel since October 7th to allow them to commit a genocide? Why are we giving them JDAMs? Why are we allowing them to fly our planes? Why have we given Ukraine $200 billion? It just, none of it adds up anymore. I don't know. Do you feel that same thing in New Zealand?
Yeah, I definitely. I've seen it quite a lot, especially like you said, among younger people. I think also among a lot of older people too, because New Zealand has been, thanks to our history, mixed history with the British and America, we've always kind of been relatively independent in our foreign policy. We haven't recognized the Palestinian state yet because our current government's very pro-America, but for the most part, we've had pretty good relations with China for a long time now, and good relations with Australia, good relations with the US, and we've been able to kind of navigate those really tense geopolitical spots quite successfully, I'd say, for the most part. Yeah. But there's also a lot of hippies here. There's a lot of the older population's quite left leaning, and a lot of people from all ages really have either always hated Israel or have been much more against their policies since October 7th. And I guess, overall, there's always kind of been some level of, awareness about what's been happening. But over here, it's much more insignificant, at least what our government's doing, because we've been much more independent. It's more about what other governments have been doing that we see more clearly, I guess.
Which is an envious position to be in. I sometimes wish that I lived in a small country that really was just like, New Zealand, it's isolated. It doesn't really play a big geopolitical factor ever. You guys don't support a lot of stuff. You don't and even if you do, it's just kind of words, right?
Yeah. Well, our main issue, the main thing we provide is intelligence. And that's the thing that a lot of people are really against here.
But that's just like Five Eyes. That's like...
Yeah, Five Eyes.
Yeah.
And then also humanitarian and diplomatic
you guys
stuff.
It's mainly to Palestine or what?
Sorry?
You send some sheep to Palestine or what?
No, probably to Israel at this rate.
Probably. They need it.
But yeah, it's more diplomatic missions or our did you hear about the 6-man naval mission to the Red Sea to fight the Houthis we sent last year?
Lit, dude.
Six people.
The proud.
Well, our military is like what? I think it's like 8,000 soldiers.
I think that's like, yeah,
And
I was going to say, I think that's
pretty
like 20% of your military, right? 20% of your Navy got sent.
Yeah, it's insane. We
But what
sold
do
our
you need
last
an army
fight.
for?
Exactly. We don't need an army. We have
You just
America.
need a lot of anti-ship missiles. That's all you need.
Yeah, and a ton of drones.
A ton of drones. We will fight them on the
Yeah,
beaches.
we have we used to have fighter jets actually about 10 years
Used
ago,
to.
but we sold them. We also used
Too
to have
much,
tanks, but we sold
too
those
much,
too.
too much salty sea air for planes to be
Yeah.
dealing with. I wanted to ask you one last question. Going forward, and you can talk about Ukraine, you can talk about the entire globe in general. I want to know, what does AMK think is going to happen in the next 6 months to a year? What big changes are we going to see? What is the outlook for the intermediate future?
Well, for Ukraine specifically, I think in the next 6 to 12 months, we're going to see, well, we're going to be past winter, going to the next winter by then, or be
Yeah.
summer probably. And we're going to see, I think we're going to see major cities, major defensive positions begin to fall apart. We're going to see attrition begin to set in. We're going to see the energy infrastructure begin to get, especially this winter, not going to. I don't think it's going to collapse, but I think it's going to get very critical.
I can I just interrupt you real fast? I
Yeah,
don't think the Russians plan on collapsing. Like, I don't think they
I
want
agree.
the Ukrainian people to not have like their food in the refrigerator staying good. Like, I don't.
Yeah,
That
no, I
doesn't seem
agree.
like the
Yeah,
Russian goal.
yeah, I agree. And based on Putin's statements, it doesn't seem like he would want that either.
Yeah.
Um, and what was I saying? Yeah, so I think we're going to see a lot of major defensive positions lost. We're going to see Ukraine relying even more on drones than they are now. I think we're going to see mobilization lowered. Uh, and I don't think Russia will win the war in 12 months. Definitely not. But I think they're going to be well on their way towards
It's going to look like
capturing.
they've won.
It's gonna look a lot more like that. I think they're gonna capture. They would have captured much more of the Donbass, Kharkiv. They may have made a small temporary bridgehead on Kherson by then, and I think beyond that, it'll become very clear that they are going to begin really collapsing those last kind of major Ukrainian fortifications in Zaporizhia and Dnipropetrovsk and behind Slavyansk and Kramatorsk.
Yeah.
As they begin to push towards the river. But I don't think we're going to be at that point yet where it's full scale collapse. But we're definitely going to. It's going to be very obvious what's to come.
Can I make a crazy prediction?
Okay.
Just because AMK is in here, I think that by May or June, so is that 6 months from now? A little bit more than 6 months, 9 months?
Yeah.
I think by, let's just say, a year. I think in a year, I think the Russians will be firmly in Kharkov City.
I
Go ahead.
think Kharkiv's going to come right at the end, like
I see
right at
that.
the end.
I think Zaporozhye, Kherson City, these other places, those will come at the end. I think you're about to see a massive Russian push in Kharkov. That's just my prediction. That's just my prediction.
Look at Kharkiv right now, for example. You have the river, the Seversky Donetsk and the Seversky Donetsk and the Oskil. You got that big kind of pocket.
Hold on,
Yeah,
I'll do this
you
because
go
I
up
have
there.
this perfect little thing right here. Boom.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, so that area, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, and even further south, maybe, depending on how the Oskil front goes.
Yeah.
That whole area, it's very difficult to resupply. Russian ground drone production's ramping up. They can strike all the bridges, which I'm surprised they haven't really been doing more of. But I guess they're quite strong, very strong bridges.
Yeah.
But they can funnel the Ukrainian supplies will be funneled, and I think a lot of that's going to fall to pressure Izium and Slavyansk from the north as the Russians wrap up from Mezhova and the Novopavlivka area. So as Slavyansk and Kramatorsk get enveloped, I think Izium's going to be pressured from that general area.
Yeah.
And I think Kharkiv's going to come like right towards the end of that, like as they're kind of breaking through in all those sectors.
Yeah.
As the the remaining units just cannot function properly
Yeah,
anymore.
can't
They
cope.
just, yeah, or they just retreat, or they abandon, or they get encircled, or whatever.
I genuinely think that we are about to see a very, very large push in this region here, and then also over here in this region.
Yeah, possibly up there. I mean, what are the logistics looking like there? I think Leipzig could be like the area right next to Leipzig, like northwest
Where's
Leipzig,
that at?
where they Leipzig, the initial incursion from last year.
Oh, right here.
Yeah. That's Wobchansk. No, Leipzig, to the western bridgehead.
I'm the where?
Leipzig, the town north of, like, in that western bridgehead they did in 2024.
Oh, sorry. Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah, yeah.
area west of the river, west of the Kharkiv River, I think will be where they do that. I think they'll
Yeah.
do a push there soon. So as they push down both banks of that river, I think
Yeah,
it's the
there's kind
Kharkiv
of
River.
there's like a little slot right here in
Yeah,
between these
exactly.
two rivers.
They wouldn't push down that without going down the west bank.
Yes, definitely. Wait, of the Oskil?
No, the Kharkiv River.
Oh yeah, right here.
Oh, so that area between the Oskil and the Kharkiv River, I don't think they'd push down that without pushing on
On
either
the other
side of
side as
it.
well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's what I mean.
I think you'll see a push from like Timofivka right here along
Yeah,
this road all the way to the western bank of this the Kharkiv River.
yeah, I think so. And that area gets bombed by fabs all the time too, so they have very solid. They know what they're doing in that area with airstrikes.
I genuinely believe that we will see Kharkov under Russian control. I don't know if it'll be under Russian control in a year, but I'm looking at this. I'm looking at how Liman is developing. I'm looking at how Pokrovsk is falling apart for the Ukrainians. I'm looking at the Russians entering Konstantinivka and stuff like that. It feels like we're there. It feels like the Ukrainians can no longer adjust and they can't respond. And the only thing that's keeping everything together right now is a limited number of UAV pilots. And when those UAV pilots really start to take attrition, like they are, I mean, I know that they are, but when the numbers really start to diminish, I think that the Russians will just have freedom to move.
Yeah. Well, yeah, my prediction, I've had this prediction since the beginning of
Here we go.
2024. I think the war's going to be over by early 2027. I don't know if you remember me saying that to you like ages ago.
I do. I think I've always said 2026 is when I think it'll end.
You've said I think mid to late 2026 is your prediction.
And I stand by that. I do not think the Ukrainians. I think this winter is going to be so decisive in terms of what ends up occurring. I think October has been decisive. I think that November is going to be worse. December is going to be crazy. And then by January, February, I think reality is going to have set in very, very heavily. Because I think by that time, you should probably see Kupiansk, Liman, and Pokrovsk all wrapped up.
Yeah. Well, also, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. I think another contributing factor would be how much meat Ukraine's able to mobilize in the next year. I mean, they're gonna drop the mobilization age to 23 or whatever it is now.
They're not,
and then they're gonna go further. I think.
I think it's too late. I think they should have done that in 2023. Like, it's too late. You're already losing the places that you need to hold.
It's too late either way. But I think they're gonna do that to delay.
Oh yeah, no, and I totally agree, because what I've said the entire time is that Ukraine has no option. They're never going to negotiate. There's never going to be a negotiated settlement to this thing, unless the regime changes in Ukraine. And yeah, Ukraine is better completely burnt and destroyed to the United States and to Europe than some rump state.
Well, they're using Ukraine, aren't they? That's not. It's why I hate it when people say Ukraine's an ally of the West,
or it's defending the West, like
all the democratic values. No, they're defending hegemony.
It's a battering ram. It's a battering ram, and they're using the Ukrainian people, which is so sad to me, because I've said this the entire time. They are warriors unlike any other I've seen. These people will just it's like they don't have regard for themselves. I don't know if it's just like they're afraid, or if they just truly are just like a warrior people that just.
I think that's a lot of historical context to that.
Yeah, I know, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. And it's so sad that you're seeing all of these warriors just get wasted in this stupid Slav war. It's so garbage, dude.
And all for what? To buy America a few more years to focus on China and the Middle East, you know? All for what?
Hey, the good news is it's all going to be Russia at the end of it, and we don't have to worry about this problem anymore.
Well, I don't know, honestly, because I don't think, why would Russia want more than the 4 regions? It would be annoying.
Oh no, they're gonna take the whole fucking country. They want more than the 4 regions. The 4 regions is the settlement point to get this thing to come to an end if they can release sanctions pressure and stuff like that. But
they might want it.
At this point,
I don't think they can hold that, not because of like resistance from the military, but you know, Ukraine's like what, 600, 700,000 square kilometers. The Russian army having to hold all of those major cities simultaneously. Also having to focus on their other borders.
I promise you, if the war ends, right, Ukraine, I don't know if they're going to take all of Ukraine. I'm not saying they're going to be out here in this part of the country. I just don't think Ukraine will be existing in the same manner at all. If the Russians push out to the Dnieper River right here, say they don't even cross, they don't get Odessa and Nikolaev, this is still non-viable, right? This is a non-viable state.
My kind of perspective on this is the US and the West is using Ukraine for a purpose. And that purpose the ability to use them will eventually, that time will run out, and eventually they'll be of no use to the West to hold. And I think Russia I think there'll be some sort of coup or some sort of like, whether it's, you know.
So the Ukrainian regime will get flipped.
I think they'll have to leave anyway. The current, at least what it is right now.
Yeah.
But I think there'll be some sort of secondary thing where it will just implode basically.
So that is totally acceptable in my mindset. What I'm saying is,
it's all going to be like not pro-Western.
No, no. I not even that. Like, I'm just saying, if the regime changes in Kiev, that is a total like switch up from what I'm talking about. I thought you were saying
military. I thought you were saying Russian military occupation.
I am, but what I'm saying is, if the regime changes in Kiev, they could just keep these 4 oblasts, and that's fine. That's what I'm saying. I totally agree with you. If the regime is no longer pro-Western, if it's just pro-Ukrainian or pro-European, even like, I think
neutral or
whatever. No, that is a completely different situation, because Russia can exert control over Ukraine in that situation. That's
that's my thing as well, because we don't really see much of the military occupation of large areas anymore today, because it's not really a viable solution. We're not in the time of imperial.
I don't think there needs to be a military occupation. I don't think there's going to be armed resistance. Just geographically, I mean, you're dealing with the FSB. They're going to crack down so hard once they get control and they're no longer fighting. They have a huge military.
Ukraine is a very big country.
No, I know it is. But I'm just saying, I think that of all of the things that the Russians could do, it is militarily occupy a country. And I don't mean like the way that, like, Israel occupies Gaza. I don't mean like that. I mean, like, once they have the regime flipped, I don't think of the Ukrainian people as super, I don't know, they're warriors, but I also almost see them, and this is going to sound really bad, and I don't mean this in a bad way, I almost see them as like almost like a slave mindset, where whoever is telling them to go do something, they do it, and they are easily convinced of going and doing something. And if that goes away and the Russians come in, I don't think that there's going to be this, like, I just don't think there's going to be a generational like hate against the Russians, maybe in the far West, But again, I don't think the
they'll.
Russians really plan on going all the way to Lvov or anything like that. I think that the
I think
Russians will take all of like Novorossiya, everything up to the Dnieper, and then whatever's that rump state is going to be a regime change country.
Yeah, I
Regime
think there'll
change,
be.
you know, yeah.
I think there'll be some sort of armed resistance from like the right sector or Azov
I just don't
related.
I don't think they exist. I think that you would be correct if that happened in 2022. I think you would see massive amounts of armed resistance and all of that. I just don't think the right sector. I think it's been destroyed internally by Zelensky.
Oh yeah,
And
I don't mean like long-term resistance.
no, I know, but I'm just saying even like I don't think that they'll be able to do really anything significant to
No, nothing
change
significant. No.
the occupation. So I don't see why Russian occupation would be like impossible. I just think that I think that geographically Russia would just dominate Ukraine because there's no mountains to go hide in. There's no forests to go, disappear into and fight a guerrilla war. What are you going to fight in a cornfield? Like, is that your goal?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm not saying that there won't be IEDs going off. I'm not saying that there's not going to be assassinations and stuff like that.
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
But
yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Yeah.
But I think that the FSB would be able to curtail that immediately and crack down on all that and get pretty. I mean, it wouldn't be like good for the Ukrainians, but I think that it would be very easy for them to subdue any sort of armed resistance. But I agree with what you're saying. I think that if the regime changes tomorrow, I think the Russians will stop advancing. I don't think they need to. Yeah.
Well, they'll go to like you say, go to the full blast line. I see a lot of people talking about Odessa, like military occupation of Odessa and Mykolaiv. I don't see that happening either, honestly, unless there was like you said, a regime change or a government change.
I mean, I don't. I think that the Russians. Do you think that the Russian goal is to be in Odessa and to control the Black Sea?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, not as of right now, at least.
I see. I think that Russia is a little bit more sinister in their overarching plans when it comes to Ukraine than I think you are alluding to. I think that they talk about the 4 oblasts and everything like that, but I think that the damage has been done. I think that the reputation is on the line at this point. I think that the West has very clearly shown that they are going to be the enemies of Russia and that negotiating is just not going to happen. So I think that Odessa and Nikolaev will both be Russian by the end of this, but I don't think that there's going to be fighting for those cities.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Yeah, I definitely agree.
I think by the time the Russians get to that, even like Poltava and stuff like that, I don't think there's going to be a Ukrainian army standing in the way.
No, I think even like Pavlograd in a way, possibly,
Yeah. Anything out here. That's like the same as Poltava to me.
Yeah, I think they'll be fighting at like places like Barvankovie and Kharkiv Oblast.
Wait, would you say they'll be fighting for what?
Barvankovie. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. The logistical hub near Kramatorsk. The main one.
Oh, in Kharkov.
Oh, in Kharkiv. Yeah. Barvankovie. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. The
Barvankovie right here.
Yeah, there. Okay. Yeah, that's their main logistical hub right now for Northern Donetsk. Okay. But I think they'll be fighting like places like there. But anything further west, significantly, I don't think there'll be much.
Yeah, and what I think is going to happen here is that the Russians are just going to push up into this and try to cut this road here.
Yeah.
Go for the other orchard name.
Oh yeah, there's another one. Did you know there's 126 Ivanivkas or something crazy?
That's not enough.
Ukraine?
How many Stepovas?
Stepovas, I think it's like 90 or something. There's 47% of Ukrainian place names are unique. Only 47%.
That's crazy. But if you think about it, how many Springfields are there?
Stupid amount. Isn't it like one in every state or something?
For sure. That's why the Simpsons chose it for their town. Because it's literally everywhere.
Yeah. Also, another thing, you saw the other Ivanivka thing, the Novopavlivka. I think that right there is quite a big step where they crossed the Vovtra a while ago, but where they've actually kind of propelled forward. I think it's actually more than what your map shows.
Is this the worst thing ever? Oh wait,
my
map is off. Is this not the worst thing?
Oh, mapping along the river. Mapping along the river, you mean?
Mapping along the river is fine. I know it's a lot of work, but when you reach your max point limit
Oh, the point limit.
and you
Oh my god,
can't change it,
I hate it.
and it doesn't
I've traced over every
it
time I've
doesn't
done
follow the fuck. Did I move
Google
this
My Maps is
whole?
horrible.
I moved like this whole thing. No. Okay, I
It's
need to
all
adjust this.
unaligned,
I don't know
unaligned
what I
itself.
did here, but it
Um,
looks like it's. Oh no, this side is fine.
yeah, it does that. It warps for some reason. It always happens to me too. At least the what's it called? The you need to refresh your page thing stopped.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, it was making me so annoyed every time
Wait. Are you talking about when you like adjust something and then refresh it and it disappears?
No, well that happens still too. That drives me crazy. But I wake up and all my map changes are gone.
Oh shit! No, I
Yeah.
haven't. I don't think
Um.
I've had it happen where, like, if I do something like this and I adjust it, and then I don't make a new polygon, this will disappear if I refresh the page.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. But I often when I'm making a new polygon, it just undoes it all overnight, and then there's a massive gap where there's no one controlling anything.
Did I not just change this? It's like,
It's so broken. It's such an outdated website too. And also, like I was saying with the refresh, when you try to refresh it, sorry, when the thing where it said an unknown error has occurred, refresh or your changes might be lost. Finally that stopped because that was driving me crazy. Every time I tried to edit a polygon, every like second edit, it would just make me refresh and I had to restart. Oh my god.
yeah, this is the most frustrating thing. And I'll tell you what, not being able to adjust this is I'm so happy that
trace over it.
I'm so happy that this happened at this point of the war as well. Because if it happened and the Ukrainians are advancing, I would have to redo this whole thing. Which I'm probably going to end up doing anyway.
Yeah, you're probably going to have to do that anyway. Unless you like turn off the border and it just kind of merges together, but that's still going to look a bit weird.
Or what I was thinking was you could just see, it might be cool to have this and be like, this ended on November the 9th.
True.
And then you can see all of the other progress because eventually these are all going to form into one big.
Yeah, exactly.
Donetsk. And then I can be like, look how much the Russians have advanced since at this point, which I think is kind of neat. Making lemons out of lemonade.
Yeah, but yeah, like I was saying with the Ivanivka thing near Novopavlivka, that moving right there, that kind of, it's actually more than what your map shows, I believe.
Right here,
Ivanivka, yeah, they're actually pushed a little more. No, that's
yeah. I think most maps have this in the gray zone, like up to here, right?
No. I mean, no, that's all Ukrainian. I mean, Ivanivka, the village, like to the west.
Over here.
Where?
Right here.
Oh yeah, there. So yeah, that where they've actually kind of broken through a little there, and it's more than what your map shows, I believe. They're actually kind of they're actually in the kind of the rear space of Novopavlivka. Yeah, if you look at Radov and Z Committee, they've put more. And I think Sentinel will come out today too, actually. Anyway, I think they're actually. Because you remember when the Russians crossed the what's it called, the Zhedebets River near
up here,
Liman. Yeah, when they crossed at what village was it? It was the other Ivan. Wait, they're both Ivanivka. I just realized both the crossings are Ivanivka. It was at Ivanivka, the other Ivanivka, that's exactly where they crossed across those dams, and that was the beginning of that big bridgehead towards Liman. And
right here,
it's like this. It must be like 18 plus kilometers now, probably even more now. How deep that is? More maybe.
16 miles.
16 kilometers. Oh, miles. Oh, it's even more then. I don't know what that is in kilometers.
It's like 30. It's like 28 kilometers.
Gosh, okay. It's a lot then. I must have measured it a while ago. But that was the beginning of that big bridgehead, and now it's not even a bridgehead anymore because it's connected with the northern front.
Yeah.
The area near Ivanivka, I think there's a possibility that could turn into something similar, where they could wrap up behind Novopavlivka and to take Mezhova, which may explain the movement near Molodetsk.
Is it Mezhova?
Mezhova, I believe.
Or is it Mezhova?
Mezhova, I think it's pronounced like that.
Mezhova. So this is Zha. It's not separated.
I think so.
Mezhova.
I don't know. I think it's that.
Ca-
But
cal-
that's it. That's like Ukraine's.
pronunciations with calibrated.
But yeah, that's like the main Ukrainian logistical hub there. So if they
Yeah.
can get up behind envelop
Just cut this road.
yeah, cut that road, and also go from where they've been advancing their Molodetsk. Because once Pokrovsk falls, they're gonna have a lot more freedom of movement in that area, and near the Udachny mine, or whatever it's called. So I think we could see that area be the beginning of like a western flank to Dobropilya.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that once this closes and then the Russians branch out, because they're going to follow these fortifications like they always do, they will. Well, first off, it's going to be so nice when this is just a nice slant right here.
Yeah, because remember when it was all the way to Volodymyrivka, like southeast of Volodar?
Yeah,
that's
right
where
here.
that was the southeastern point. I think it's Volodymyrivka. Yeah,
you want to see something crazy?
Yeah,
you want to talk about far? Look at that!
Oh my god, yeah, I know.
It's over 100 kilometers in the rear now, which is crazy. That's crazy, bro. I never thought Ugladar was gonna fall.
It was just like that thorn that would never go away.
Dude, it was the worst. And do you remember, it was one of the first like massive military failure. I mean, like after 2022, when the Russians had finally kind of like reestablished themselves, this was one of the first major disasters when they just pushed up this road and got rocked.
Oh my god, yeah. And they pushed in so many directions too.
That was the extinction of the 155th, right?
Oh, the Russian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the
well, now the 72nd, the Ukrainian 72nd is not great because of the battle there, and also
I think all of those are gone, right? The Ukraine's 150.
Well, they're in the rear.
They're 47th. They're all like dead.
Well, because that was happening at the same time as Salida there, so they're having to redeploy between the two cities. Trying to hold that section. But yeah, have you seen Mariinka, by the way? If you zoom into Mariinka,
did they update it?
Yeah, they updated it.
Nice, dude.
That whole area. Oh my god.
I mean, it was literally the front line for like a decade.
Have you? Well, the front line was east of Mariinka, so it was on the front line. It
was like here, right?
A little bit further east. It was like
the Russians had this from the start.
No. It's Alexandrivka, right? It's like it was right on the eastern outskirts of Mariinka. You can see where the old trenches are. Yeah, in that area. Yeah, you can see where the old trenches are from the Civil War.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah. So
this is where they started, yeah. And then Mariinka was still like a front. They got all the artillery shelling.
Yeah, it was just there were still lots of civilians there, like tons of civilians, and it was pretty much entirely undamaged at the time. But then obviously
place is so fucked.
Vovchansk is worse. If you see Vovchansk is worse. Well, at least the city center. It's
like I can't believe they're still building standing. That you want to talk about Soviet engineering, dude?
Oh my god, yeah.
These things got hit by what? This one building got hit by like a glide bomb, multiple artillery shells, multiple FPV drones or whatever. Every single building is leveled, and still there's
some of those high rises in central Vovchansk. They got hit by 5 Fab 3000s.
Yeah, dude, and they just are still.
And the thing about this is a lot of people see those destroyed areas. Not yet, no. This was last year. So
they only update once it's like fully Russian. They're like, now we can show it as destroyed.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, a lot of people forget that, when you see all those buildings burnt out and partially collapsed, it's like, oh my god, it's completely destroyed. The city has no tactical worth anymore. They can still be used for positions. They're not as good as they used to be, but those, you can still have sniper positions and infantry. Forward deployment points.
If you watch what the Ukrainians are doing in every single town around the country, I mean, it's just sitting in basements. So,
exactly.
If you have any structure above you that prevents an FPV from flying in and killing you, it's pretty much the spot to be.
The only place where you can't really do that is central Vovchansk, because that area is like properly gone. I mean,
it's like right here.
It's only the city center area, so the other areas are actually mostly like intact military wise. But that central area, Oh yeah, no, that's that. If you look at the videos, that
Yeah,
whole area is. Remember
it's
the aggregate plant where the Ukrainians did that big propaganda video going
right
back
here.
in? Yeah, they did that propaganda video of them liberating
Yeah.
it or whatever. And look at it now compared to that video. Even after that heavy fighting, since then, it's actual just skeletal remains. It's
Look at how
crazy.
nice it looks, though.
Yeah, it's actually a nice plant. I've seen the company photos of it. It looks quite nice.
Rip.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Well,
town got a level of hate that is
God, yeah.
it's like Marinka, Azovstal, and here.
Bakhmut. Yeah. Popasna was got hit pretty bad too.
Yeah, Popasna, and then also
Rubizhne.
Bakhmut was bad, but it wasn't quite that level.
Rubizhne was really bad.
Yeah, Rubizhne was bad. All right, AMK. I think that's where we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. Don't forget, guys, to go click that like button, leave a comment, and if you are new here, please subscribe. If you guys do not follow AMK and you are looking for an alternative news source to my dumbass, go check out AMK. He does amazing work. His map is fantastically accurate, more accurate than mine for sure. And that's not to dog on my own map, but AMK just does a extremely precise and excellent job. So make sure you go follow him on Twitter. Make sure you go follow him on Telegram. Absolutely, because Telegram is where he does most of his work. You will find those links in the description. AMK, anything to say to my audience before you get out of here?
Well, I appreciate the repeated opportunity to come on here. I remember in June of last year when I first came on, I looked at a couple of clips from there, and some of the things I said there were not definitely with the things I don't agree with today. That's for sure. Like
Hey,
Russian imperialism and stuff.
that there's a couple things there. Part of it is growing up. I know that I'm not
Well,
really that
yeah,
much older than you, but I am bald up here, so I got the I have the accreditations, right,
yeah,
to talk like I'm wise.
yeah.
Part of it
Well,
is growing up. Part of it is the world just changes around you, and you change in that world, and your opinions of 2 years ago or a year
yeah.
ago are not going to align with your opinions of
Oh,
today.
100%. No.
Yep.
And I stand with some of them, stand by some of them, stand by partially with some of the others, and
No, you
completely
heard it
disagree
here,
with
everybody.
others, you know?
AMK is a notorious flip flopper. He cannot be trusted. All right.
Evolve there.
Thank you so much, AMK. Thank you, everybody who watched. If you watched up to this point, you are a Titan, a champion. Don't forget to leave a like, click, or leave a comment, click that like button, subscribe if you have not, and go check out AMK's work. Thank you so much, AMK, and we will see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.